A very good morning. Thanks for clicking on to the Friday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. We have a very distinct westerly airflow across the UK at the moment, and that's dragging in some fairly cool air from the North Atlantic. But it looks as if as we go through this weekend, we are going to maintain the same type of setup that we've seen throughout much of this week, with a cool west to northwesterly airflow, embedded charge within that airflow, and temperatures pegged back, especially from what we've seen, of course, back on Sunday in the southeast of England. But it does look as if we are taking a change to colder as we go through next week, and the modelling is becoming a lot more certain on that. There's more cross-model agreement now that we are going to see a very substantial trough that will bring a significant cold spell, I think, for late April for a good chunk of Europe. Now you can see here at this moment in time, we've got a very distinct westerly airflow here across the Atlantic. We've got cold air across Canada, across Greenland, and that ocean modified chill is what is bringing our weather at the moment here. But as you notice here, we've got some fairly chilly air across the north of Scandinavia. This is, of course, the jet and the 850 millibar temperature combination. And you can see here as we skip through, we are going to see an area of low pressure pushing through Friday. And behind that system is going to have a reinforcing shot of chilly air during Saturday, with a fairly brisk northwesterly wind here. Could see gale force winds across the north of the UK. In particular, the northwest might see severe gales. And you notice here, as we go through the weekend and into next week, look at the trough now starting to dig over Europe. Also notice the heights are coming up to the west of the UK over the North Atlantic, and by the time we reach the early part of next week, we've got almost a straight northerly blowing down the UK. So that is going to bring a reinforcing shot of cold late season air into the UK. And across Europe, the trough continues to deepen as well. But as we go through next week, it looks as if we're going to remain on the chilly side of the jet. We may see a little brief surge of mild into the UK come next Wednesday. But notice the chill here. This is a cold air mass for the time of the year, but nothing particularly outstandingly cold. It's all still within the kind of boundaries of typical, if you will. It's nothing record breaking, I don't think, anyway. Certainly not for the UK. In terms of the heart of Europe, it might be a little bit more substantial. We may see some records falling here. But it does look as if this is going to be a significant cold shot for the heart of the continent. Certainly through the first half of the week, it looks as if the UK is under the gun of cold northerly winds. We could see some snow, maybe even a little bit of mixing down the lower levels, especially during the overnight hours when it's dark and the atmosphere tends to be, of course, that bit colder. But during the second half of the week, it looks as if the ridge, according to the GFS, tries to topple in to the UK here, and the cold air will continue to penetrate into the central portion of Europe here overall. So it does look as if we are going to get a last blast of winter come the early part of next week. Certainly for Europe, the heart of Europe, it is going to get pretty darn cold for late April. That's it for today. Hope you have a great Easter weekend, and I'll be back in the next several days. Bye for now.